go to this morning and see if people still putting questions in the box here. So I'll just do a very, I'll start answering the questions and then at the end just give a little talk about how insight works. I'll start some questions first of all. Why doing service and helping other people can help our practice? Which part of the Eightfold Path does that belong to? It's about renunciation, second factor, thoughts of giving up, letting go. You do service to others, you're not thinking about yourself. It's not about me anymore. It's about doing what needs to be done. It's a type of letting go when you do service. You know, I'd rather be in my cave, meditating. But I let go to be able to serve and see however I can help. Writing books, looking after monasteries, building monasteries. That's my service. And I found that when I do that, you make good karma and you get happiness and joy. And when you get the happiness and joy, I use that into my meditation practice. It gives me joy, it gives me a boost of energy. We're shortly coming up to the start of the Rains Retreat, another month's time, a month and a bit. And there was a story that maybe many of you, if you have gone to Buddhist temples, it's a tradition to offer rainy season's bathing cloths, special bathing cloths at that time of the year. And where that came from is because in those days we wouldn't have showers or baths, and it was too dangerous to bathe in the rivers because monsoons, they were fast flowing. So the many monks in those days would bathe in the rainstorms. You can see like a heavy rain like we had here when I first few days here. It hasn't rained the last few days. It's like it has, I've been meditating. And because of that, you can see it's actually quite practical to stand out and get a good shower. And that's what the monks had to do because that's all they had. So they had these bathing cloths. And the story was that one of the Buddha's chief female disciples, Visakha, she invited the monks to come for lunch. So when the lunch was ready, she sent one of her servants to go and tell the monks, including the Buddha, the meal was ready, they can now come. So they went to the monastery, and she just happened to go there at the time when all the monks were bathing in the rain. And she came back to see her mistress, Visakha, and said, there's no monks in that monastery, there's just naked perverts. Or something like that. Bathing naked in the rain. And Visakha sort of, she was very wise, and she said, go back again. And so she went back again, but at that time they finished their bathing and they dried off and put their robes back on. So they invited them up for the lunch. And then she said after the lunch, she said to the Buddha, it's okay, I mean, you've got no attachments and all that, but other people, we don't like to see monks naked. So, can I know you have to bathe like this in the rain, can I offer you these special bathing cloths to use during the rainy season for bathing under the rain? And that's where that tradition came from. But she went a bit further and she said, can I be the only one in this city who offers rainy season bathing cloths to all the monks? And while I'm at it, can I also offer the bathing cloths to the bhikkhunis? And also, I know that sometimes people come to visit and they don't know where to go to have food, so may I have an open offering? The first day any monk or nun comes into this city of Savatthi, they always have an open invitation, they can have their first meal with me. And before they leave, if they need anything extra, for their journeys, new sandals or whatever, can they come to my house so I can give them to them? And if there's any monks who are sick, because sometimes if you're sick you need special food, special medicine, can they please come to my house and I'll get special food for them? And also that you have monks or nuns who look after the sick monk or sick nuns. So can I also look after them as well? So they've got no time for themselves to get their arms through. And I think that was it. I think the Buddha said, all of that just for you? What about other people? They like to make merit as well. Why do you want to do this? And at that Visakha gave this answer, which is why I mentioned this story. He said, because, Lord Buddha, if you give me that opportunity But I know in this 3 months of the rainy season retreat, any monk or nun who gets a deep attainment like a jhana or stage of enlightenment, I know that all of them I'd have given a robe to. But I'd given food when they first came and food before they left. And when not everyone will get those attainments, but whoever does, I know that I would have supported them. And when I remember that service which I have given, that will bring me so much joy and happiness. And I'll use that joy and happiness to allow my mind to get into deep stillness. You know what I said yesterday, from stillness, or from happiness, the mind becomes still. I'll get so much stillness, and then I will be able to attain the paths and fruits myself. And the Buddha was actually amazed by her understanding. He said, exactly, yes, okay, you have that permission. Because the service which they had done to make a better world, in her particular case, to support the making of enlightened beings in both genders, was such a great source of happiness and joy. If you know how to use that, that turbocharges your meditation. Yes, I do get tired, because I do a lot of service. But when I go back, I remember that. I remember, all I've given. And that just gives a huge boost of energy, a huge boost of piti sukha. So if you do service, which all of you do in small or big ways, if you do that service, and you know how to make use of that, your meditation goes to another level. Huge amounts of energy, beautiful, good energy, and happiness from service. So letting go is a boost of energy, and that's why I encourage that. Not that I need you to do service for me, but you need to do that service. I don't need it, but you need to make it. It gives you a huge amount of energy. Can you tell us what psychic power did Ajahn Chah have except for teaching rather than mind reading? Well, I know you have the mind reading stuff, because I'll probably tell the story when, all these stories of Ajahn Chah being with him, and I never actually told those stories of Ajahn Chah. There was a time when, why did I stay with Ajahn Chah? Because when I first went up there, just to have a look, we were doing some preparations for Ajahn Chah's mother's funeral. And so it was really weird. He was making like a mountain. He was going to burn the body of his mother in the middle of this mountain made out of papier-mâché and like baskets. I can't describe it. So we're all making baskets. And he came over to me and he said, oh, that's a wonderful basket you're making. He tried praise. But I looked at my basket, looked at everyone else's basket, and I said, I'm not buying into this. You can't just praise me into staying with your disciple. I thought, you're crazy. I can see through that one. And so I was losing my faith in him. But what really turned me, I was making my basket, and then there was another monk, the same monk who was the story of the bottle of his girlfriend's ship. So you know that story, that's him opening the door of your heart. The same monk, and he had some questions to ask of Ajahn Chah. So he asked a question of Ajahn Chah, and one of the other monks translated it into Thai. Ajahn Chah answered and got the translation back. And I was overhearing, listening, and the answer which Ajahn Chah gave back had nothing to do with the question this monk had asked. So he asked another question. Same thing happened. Another answer came back from Ajahn Chah, totally off subject. But it was answering the questions I was thinking. I thought, this is weird. So I thought of another question I wanted the answer for. This monk actually spoke his question. Ajahn Chah gave an answer, nothing to do with this monk's spoken question, answering the questions I was thinking. And that was really weird for the theoretical physicist to actually test and prove this monk was actually reading my mind. And afterwards I just asked this monk, I said, what do you think of Ajahn Chah's answers to your questions? He said, stupid, I couldn't understand anything, it had no relevance. It was because he was answering my questions. I was just thinking them. Standing close enough, and Ajahn Chah was giving those answers. He was tuning into me, totally tuned out to his other monk. Now, when that happens to you, and you test it out, like I'm going to think of a question on something, and then not speaking it, and Ajahn Chah answers it pretty well. Ooh, that's spooky. So that fellow had something there. So that was Ajahn Chah. What else? Never levitated, never saw him levitate, or... okay, another funny story. You got me thinking about Ajahn Chah now. Ajahn Chah first, he only went, that's right, he went over to UK for a visit. And flying Thai Airways. And on that particular flight, he was another monk with him. On that flight, there was an emergency. The landing gear did not descend. So, it was dangerous. And apparently, Heathrow Airport, they had put foam on the runway for the Thai Airways flight, which Ajahn Chah was on, because it was going to be an emergency landing. And he said all the people that knew he wasn't that famous, but he was getting famous, they all came up to him and said, Ajahn Chah, help, help, help. They all came up to him asking him to do divine intervention, because they were really scared of dying. There was, could have happened. But then the last moment, just the landing gear, they managed to release it, so they did an ordinary landing. And as everybody went out, and Ajahn Chah said to the monk next to him, said, see, just no one is coming to thank me. They're not looking at me now. They're all looking at the pretty flight attendants. That's what he actually said. So the only time you look at a monk is when you're in trouble. But it was a great monk to be with, because wise, but also very enjoyable, great fun. What are your thoughts on the Buddha spoke on Amitabha Sutta? Some people use it as a shortcut to every birth and get enlightened in the Pure Land. Please comment. Now look, please, I don't want to offend anybody, but I was a reasonable person, trained in theoretical physics, and the Amitabha Sutta, that came after the time of the Buddha. The language is different, the whole context is different. That was added after the time of the Buddha. It's not called Buddhism. And this is the Pure Land. We're already here. Can't get more pure than this. Have a look at how your parents lived, how your grandparents lived. Even do a little bit of history. This place, even kings and emperors would not be able to live in a palace like this hotel. Entertainment at your fingertips. Food, whatever food you want, is here for you. Aircon, the right temperature. This is palatial, but we get used to it. That's the same if you went to heaven, after a while you take it for granted. And probably if there was a complaint box in heaven, you would complain. It's too perfect. The food is just not delicious enough. The music, they want something different. You would complain, because you cannot have happiness without some suffering. And I think there was a famous Christian theologian, St. Augustine, and some of the stuff he said was really interesting. He said, this was about the 5th or 6th century AD, that he was quoted as saying that when we go to heaven, there's a Christian heaven, one day a year, one day out of 365, we have to go to hell for the day. We have to, suffer, be tortured, be boiled, poked, all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, we would not appreciate heaven. And he had a really good point there. The only time you really appreciate happiness is after you've had some suffering. Without the suffering, you can't appreciate happiness. What does it mean to a baby when it goes through stillbirth, e.g. at 36 weeks? When a being goes through samsara and reincarnation to be a human being, aren't they supposed to come back to go through the suffering and at the same time given the opportunity to achieve enlightenment? If that is the case, there is nothing the baby can achieve in this lifetime when it dies before coming to this world. Does this happen due to the parents or baby's karma? It could be karma, but not everything is due to karma. Sometimes it's things which are called accidents. Just little mistakes. Things don't work out, the way it is expected. Right, as I did mention in that story of the baby whose parents put a line on its heel, usually it's the case. If you get that far, at 36 weeks, you almost make it into this world. But, you die at the last moment. Usually you have another try. Okay, I make sort of similes which are a bit funny, but this is actually quite accurate how it works. It is like getting bumped off the flight. I don't know, you're going back today, tomorrow, and maybe whatever airline you booked on may have been overbooked. And you go there and they say, sorry, but there's no room for you. And what happens? You get compensation, you get the next available flight, and you usually get an upgrade. So that's the simile of a person, a being who tries to get in this world and gets bumped off at the last moment. And it doesn't quite make it stillbirth. They usually get priority in the next available womb. Upgraded. Honestly, that's how it works. So, yeah, they didn't quite make it, they have another try. Ajahn Brahm, is any faith devotion needed to attain jhanas or simply letting go? You have to not so much faith, but trust. Trust in what you saw as the word of the Buddha, what I'm saying, what Ajahn Chah said actually works. And of course, it's a hard thing to trust, so you just do a little bit and see if a little bit if it works. You do letting go, you get nimittas. You do relaxation, you feel happiness. Little by little, you test out these teachings. And little by little, it starts to make sense because you experience it happening. And that gives you enough confidence and trust to go to the next step of letting go. But eventually you understand, wow, this is amazing true teaching. You let go, let go, let go, let go. You have faith in the path. And that means that it happens. What are the roles of the Buddhist prayers? To who are they dedicated? What is the aim of repeating them or using a mala? Sometimes, that I get too many telephone calls. Email, I try not to give out my email address, and if I do give your email address to you, please don't use it for counselling. Counselling goes on and on and on and on and on and on. So it's best actually to teach the Dhamma and teach meditation, because that means you solve your own problems rather than relying on somebody else. So we decided to get an answer service, an answer machine at our monastery. And usually, like most answer machines, you have choices. If you want any chanting, you can just press number 1, you get instant chanting, just recorded for you. If you want to speak to Ajahn Brahm, you haven't got a prayer, so press number 1 anyway. Well, whatever. So a lot of times the prayers, all it really is just encouragement, motivation, making people feel good. Sometimes the prayers were started off as just teachings of the Buddha. So, for example, you've got our people's t-shirts, make peace, be kind, be gentle. And that is there for a teaching. But it's like sometimes it's so common that people start chanting it at weddings and funerals. May peace be kind, be gentle, may peace be kind, be gentle, may peace. Like they do Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, I don't know what it means, but chant it anyway because it's supposed to be powerful. So you can make anything powerful. Like in may peace be kind, be gentle, may peace be kind, be gentle, and you think that drives away ghosts. So sometimes these chanting started as a reason for it, but now they just get a bit like magic. I used to pray every night with my mum during my childhood until the age of 16, and I stopped because I didn't understand the meaning of what we were doing. That made my mum sad. She keeps on telling me that praying helps to have good karma and destiny. Look, if it's your old mum, there's no way you're going to change her now. So just chant for her. Why is the meaning of that chanting? Is to make your mother happy. That's a good enough reason. Dear Ajahn, is it possible to know if one has reached dream winning status in a previous life? Also, what about reaching that in this life? Would one know? When one achieves stream winning, of course, you know that that has actually happened. And I think I've said this before, it's one of the tricks. I saw this in the Vinaya, because I had to learn that. If a monk or a nun claims that they're enlightened, or they've got this attainment or that attainment, and they're lying, they're just boasting, that's what we call parajika offense. They have to disrobe. They're not a monk anymore. It's a very serious offense to lie about these attainments. And because of that, usually we, because it's a very, very huge thing, monks usually keep it quiet, nuns usually keep it quiet, and encourage you to keep it quiet. But if a monk does actually make a claim, we have to find out whether it's true or false. And there is like a little questionnaire we're supposed to ask the monks to see if they're lying or not. And one of those on the question, which was fascinating to actually to have confirmed, that stream winning is an event. Because you're asked, say PJ says he's a stream winner, and I have to ask him, where did that happen? And when? What day? What time of the day? What were you doing at the time? It's an event. It's not, over the years I've been meditating, I suppose I'm a stream winner now. No, when did it happen? An event. Bang! And a lot of your defilements have come. Dear Ajahn, thanks for treating us like monks and nuns. I'm sure one or more of us from this retreat will be. Hee hee hee. What's funny about that? That's inspiring. Ajahn, I've been meditating for years, however, lately the white light is more radiant and brighter. Excellent. At times it is challenging just to shut my eyes closed when meditating. Anyway, to overcome it, or should I just let it be? Oh, goodness, enjoy it. Don't be afraid. If you get some light, you've got a white light there, the colour's not important. Get a light that's getting brighter and brighter and brighter, that means your mind is getting more pure, more energized, you're doing well. Another chanting question. Please kindly explain if chanting mantras have any benefit to our spiritual path. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes a mantra which is really powerful, which I ask people in Australia to chant, is it's really a two-word mantra, not just Om Mani Padme Hum, which is, that's four-word, it's just a two-word mantra. Sha, ah, sha, ah. As you're breathing in, you say sha, breathing out, ah. That's power. Okay, this is what it is. I have been very privileged to be able to choose the career and line of work I am in as a psychologist and coach. I run my own business and I'm able to schedule my time to have balance in my life. I started out a company in well-being for the last few years. Things have been said to pick up. I started to doubt myself and question my decision of starting a company. I questioned whether what I was doing was out of ego or wanting recognition. It then came to my mind that my heart was telling me to do something creative with children. I also saw two psychics who finally confirmed us. As I was about to make a switch, my business started to pick up. I feel happy and do enjoy what I do, but I also enjoy doing many things. My question is, how do I know what my purpose in my life and work is? Your purpose is what you make of your life. You haven't got a purpose which is destined, written in the stars. I've looked at the stars of lots and I can't see any language in there at all, nothing which I could read. It's not written in the stars. And the purpose of your life, you make your purpose. The meaning of your life is whatever meaning you decide to give to it. You don't wait to discover meaning, you put meaning into your life. So that is actually your purpose. So if you've got a business and it's doing well, there's a good livelihood, why not carry on doing it? It may seem, oh, if I work with children, oh, that's something I really feel I should be doing. Yeah, but you go and work with children and afterwards you think, oh my goodness, what did I do that for? You don't. Ask any brother, ask any school teacher. I was a school teacher for 1 year working with children. 1 year! And that was it. Living the world. But that may be just me. But some people love children. But if it's going well, why change it? How can one balance earning money and eliminate ego in career? This is the interesting one. Why is it that some people can earn money easily? And other people, they work hard and they just can't make the money. Listeners, that's the karma, what you did in your past life. Makes that, you do a business and it picks up and you do it really well. And the Buddha said it's generosity. Your generosity in your past life, your kindness in your past life, that allows you to make money in this life. And it's my theory behind this. It is because in your previous life you had money and you used it well. Now, not just building palaces or having big fast cars or expensive jewelry. You don't use it for that. You use it for a really good purpose. And if you use it for a good purpose, like helping out charities and being kind to people, then you find that, okay, you pass the test so you can be entrusted with money in the next life. People who are kind and generous tend to have the money in the next life. Did I tell at the beginning that story of, yeah, I think I did the first day, story of Bill Gates. Yeah, the story of Bill Gates' car had broken down, just to remind you of it. The farmer passed by, didn't know who it was, fixed his car. Sure, thank you very much. And a few days later, the farmer got all his bills paid off, all his debts by Bill Gates. Just, the farmer helped me. Didn't know who I was. I'm Bill Gates, I can afford it. I can find out where that guy lives. He took down his number plate, so I can pay off all his debts and give him a bit of extra. But people like that are just kind. They're the ones that get money next life. So that's why you make money. It's not because you're smart. That means you've got ego. That's the Donald Trump. Look, I'm a billionaire. I know what I'm doing. I am the Donald. There's only one Donald, and that's Mr. Duck. Anyway, can psychics be trusted? Sometimes they can, sometimes not. That is a problem with psychics. Sometimes they get it wrong. For Sri Lankan people still here, they're still over there. There was a famous Sri Lankan professor, a very famous Buddhist called Professor Jayatilleke. He wrote a few books. And I know one of his best friends who lived in Perth, that's Professor Laxi Jayasuriya. And he told me an interesting story that they were friends, they went to university together, and just young men, just one day, just nothing much to do. They went to, I think it was Kataragama, which is known for the psychics in Sri Lanka, just to get his fortune told. And he didn't believe in this. He was two well-educated men, and they just were very dubious, but it was just to see, just a bit of an entertainment or interest. And this psychic at Kataragama told Professor Jayatilleke the name of the woman he was going to marry, and he hadn't even met her yet. So later on, when he met this woman and married her, he had 100% faith in that psychic. And that caused his early death. And what happened, the psychic said his destiny was to live a long life. He would die when he was very old. And he believed that. So in his middle ages, when he was only 40-something, he got sick. Why go to see the doctor? I am going to live to a long life. He believed a psychic. And this was told to him by one of his best friends. And so he never went to see the doctor until it was too late. He died in his 40s. He said directly because he believed that psychic. That's why sometimes it is dangerous. So, sometimes it's amazing. How come you could find the name of the woman I'm about to marry? Or no, didn't even know her yet. But I got it wrong when it came to the length of his life. And because he believed how long he would live, that actually made him die earlier. So be careful with psychics. Sometimes it's amazing just so they get it right, but sometimes they get it all wrong. And you die because of that. Dear Ajahn, after your discussion about nimittas this morning, it seems as that I've had these throughout my life. Yeah, however, others have told me that they are illusions of the mind, so I should disregard them, not pay attention to them. Now, as I meditate more, they are happening more frequently, but only after meditation, not during. Why? And how do you distinguish between illusions and real nimittas? Thank you for teaching us like monks and nuns. I love it. Yeah, it's... Sometimes people think they're illusions, it's a light shining in the room, but have a look around you. Where can that light come from? There's no sort of direct globes or no, it's none at all. No spotlights, there's no headlights can come in here, there's no windows through which the sun can shine. So if you're sitting in this room and the light comes in, it has to be a limit, it can't be anything else. So, once you develop them, one very clear sign, it's a nimitta. Maybe the early ones, this doesn't happen, but when they really get strong, it's a different colour than you see in the real world. If it is, say, white, it's much whiter than any white you see in this world. That's when I mentioned that, what's it called, the cat nimitta, the Garfield nimitta. I know that was the yellows in that were just really unworldly, very linear, fluorescent, more yellow than yellow. That's usually how you describe it. Colours which you cannot see with your eyes in this world. Much deeper, purer, richer. That's typical of nimittas. So when people, when that happens, you can't sort of fake that. It's a blue light, blue, really rich and deep and incredible. And that's actually a good sign of this nimitta. It's a mind-made object. Don't say, no, it's just a delusion. Just go for it, enjoy it, develop it. It is because not enough monks talk about it. That's why people get confused about it. And they get nice nimittas and they just throw them away. But always simplify your nimittas. If you have a light, it's complicated, it's people, persons and stuff. Just go for the most beautiful part of it. Simplify. And then it's much more brighter and more useful. I've been meditating trying to. Don't try, just stop trying to meditate and then meditation happens. Regularly, and the goal of stillness, but the craving is always around. I'm blissfully unaware of jhanas. With your description and all the wow, so beautiful, the cravings have increased 1,000-fold. Hell! Whoever wrote that, but there's no way you're going to get a jhana, or even nimitta. You're not advanced enough. So just forget it, mate. That's a skillful means. So when you give up, I can't get jhanas, I just need to sit here and kill time. Then, bam, wow, nimittas, jhanas, wow. That's what happens. Someone asks a question, repeats it here, why does I meditate, when I go to bed, then nimittas come up? What's happening? When I'm meditating, they don't come up, and I go to bed and, wow, beautiful nimitta as soon as I hit the pillow. Because when you go to bed, the first time you stop trying to meditate. You get it? You're trying to meditate when you're here. You're trying to get somewhere. You're in the future. So just in this moment, just be here. Nimittas, no nimittas, doesn't really matter. What really matters, am I making peace, being kind, being gentle? And that's what you do now. That's what you can achieve now. Yeah, maybe you never get jhanas or nimittas, but can you make peace? Is that too hard to ask you to do? Can you be kind? Can you be gentle? Then you can meditate. That's all you need to do. Just make peace, be kind, be gentle. Forget about the results. Just make sure the causes are in place. Make peace, be kind, be gentle. Make peace, be kind, be gentle. Make peace, be kind, be gentle. Eventually it happens. And one of my stories is it's a joke now. It's running around because it's a funny story about the refugee who came to Australia. And even though he was well educated, when you're a refugee you get whatever job you can. So he got a job on the building site, just labouring. He worked really hard, even though he's probably a doctorate in something or other. That's what you have to do when you're a refugee. People don't take your qualifications seriously. Just like that psychiatrist. I was told this by someone, one of the senior psychiatrists in Western Australia. The university invited a leading psychiatrist from the United States to go and come and teach for 1 year. But the College of Psychiatry insisted he had to be qualified. He said, well, I am qualified, yes, but not in Australia. You have to do a simple test. And he said, well, what is a test? Here is 2 books, study them, and we're going to give you a test afterwards. And he said, look at the first book you just gave me. Whose name is on that? That's me! I wrote that book, and you're testing me on my own book. But he had to, it was the regulations. How stupid regulations are sometimes. So this professor had to do an exam on the book which he wrote. Thank goodness he passed. So anyway, that's why you get highly qualified people, but because they're not qualified in that particular country, they have to do exams all over again. So this refugee had to just work on a building site, what he got his qualifications all settled. When he came home after the first day, his wife said, how did he go? He said, terrible, I worked so hard and no one paid me. Worked all that hard for nothing. He tried again on Tuesday, worked all day, sweating, really a good worker, but still got paid nothing. Give it 1 more day, Wednesday, still didn't get paid. Said, all right, that's it. People exploit you in Australia, refugees, they just don't pay you at all, they just take advantage of you. And his wife said, no, go again on Thursday. So because his wife told him he worked really hard on Thursday, same thing happened, never got paid at all. And he thought, no, this is a waste of time, working hard for no reward. But he never had anything to do on Friday, so he just went there just in case. And on Friday, his boss gave him this big pay packet. He was very happy. He went home and said, wife, I've now figured out how it works in Australia. From now on, I'm only going to go to work on Fridays. That is a simile for meditation. All those times you meditate, you don't get paid, you don't get a paycheck, no nimittas, no jhanas, nothing, but you're building up your credit. And think, okay, now I'm only going to go to meditate when I get jhanas. You can't have everyday payday. That's actually just, for labourers. Usually, in most places these days, you only get paid at the end of the month. As for me, I don't get paid at all. Except with happiness. Has anyone ever got all the 4 jhanas in one meditation session? Yeah. So one person who got all the 4 jhanas, the psychic powers and enlightenment in all one meditation session. His name was Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. You should have seen that one coming. That's the Buddha. Dear Ajahn, you mentioned earlier about the fear of death, letting go and vanishing into nothing. A friend is suffering tremendously from illness and has been abandoned and ill-treated by her family. She is still in disbelief and hopes they will come back and love her at this time of her life. It is very difficult for her to let go. May I ask what would be the best words I can tell her? This is something which the Ajahn Chah used to always say, you're born alone, and we all die alone. Even if your family and loved ones are by the bedside. At that last moment you will close your eyes and do that last process all by yourself. Yes, someone may be holding your hand, but you can't feel it. So you come into this life alone, and you do die alone. But the fear of death, letting go, vanishing into nothing, unless that person is fully enlightened, they're going to come back again. And if she is suffering from illnesses, it may be that the family is afraid of seeing her like that. But sometimes it is painful to see someone you love suffering so much. But maybe that's one of the reasons why they're avoiding her, because they can't take seeing her in such a state. But abandoned, ill-treated by her family, if she is your friend, then you are her family. So, the family by blood, we don't choose our brothers and sisters and parents and children. They just come into our life from who knows where. We don't choose them, so sometimes that they can't be as reliable as the friends we choose. So, your family is not just the traditional meaning of a family. Your family is your friends and loved ones, the ones you choose to love and choose to love you. They're always much more reliable than family. It always happens, family. And sometimes we have all these feuds, misunderstandings with totally different people. But friends, that's our real family. That's why having associations like Bodhinyana or the Palm Central Buddhist Fellowship, they're really important as places where you can find really good friends, and those are the ones you can depend on. Is it okay still going with the questions? How can someone who suffers from addiction, alcohol, video games, sports, apply kindness and let go to his or her mind, which is so much craving for that specific object? Can you please explain how to be kind to that self-destructive behavior? Because can't control his or herself to stop. Meditation is an addiction that's self-destructive. You destroy your sense of your illusion of self. You become a nobody again. Remember, nobody is perfect. So some of the stuff which I teach, sometimes if you look at it one way, you think, Ajahn Brahm, what are you doing? You're telling a person to be self-destructive, to get lost, to lose your mind. When we was doing the last time I think it's at the Renchi Hospital in Singapore, we were doing a little session on dementia. And the doctor was telling some of the signs of dementia. You can't remember the past, you don't even think about the future, you become socially disengaged. I said, that's what I'm teaching other people to do. Let go of the past, don't worry about the future. Spend more time in solitude. Oh my goodness. I am the cause of dementia in Singapore. So, addictions, all addictions are, it's just escaping from some sort of suffering. It's running away from ghosts. So if there is a ghost, just turn around and face the ghosts of life. Don't be afraid of them, turn around, poor ghosts. I'll tell you, they can be very helpful. They can give you lottery numbers. They can find your ring when it's lost. All these stories I have of ghosts who really can be of great service to you. Ghosts are cool. They're like pets in the house. You don't have to feed them. And there's, you can ask them, I'm going on retreat for a few days, can you please make sure there's no burglars? And of course, those ghosts, if you've got them on the side, any burglar comes up and they go, woo, woo, burglar. Well, it's a much better security system than alarms. Because people, if they know some IT, they can disable alarms. They can turn off all the security cameras, but how many people know how to turn off a ghost? So if you do have a ghost in the house, brilliant. Just suck up to the ghost, make it nice and kind, look after it, and look after you. It's much better than a pet dog. So what are you worried about? But the addictions is we all have our ghosts we run away from. And that's why we have addictions, we're running away from this stuff. So after a while, when we feel good about ourselves, when we understand the story of the trees in the forest, the crooked ones are the most beautiful, and you don't need to think you don't belong. You belong in the forest of humanity. Every tree, crooked, bent. In fact, I always say the crooked, bent ones are the most beautiful. Those are the ones I like. So those are the ones where you realise you don't need to run away. Video games, sports, alcohol. Just get to know yourself and love yourself. If you can open the door of yourself, of your mind to yourself, then you don't need addictions anymore. Just happy to be with yourself. You don't need to run away anymore. You're not scared of the ghosts of your past. Imagine you mentioned Nimitta appears at the end of a life. At this stage, what happens next? What's the best thing to do, or still do nothing? Thank you. People always like to plan ahead. You haven't even left yet. You haven't died yet. So you're worried about dying. It's a long way to go yet. But people still like to be prepared. So, a Nimitta comes the same way you do with Nimittas now. Make it simple. Don't be afraid. Don't be excited. Just when you die, make peace. Be kind and be gentle. Remember those words. And have a beautiful death. I've had the best meditation when it was a guided meditation. I felt lost and aimless without guided meditation. Should I learn to stop being so dependent on guided meditation? Thank you. Now, sometimes when I do the guided meditation, just it means I can't meditate myself. I'm still teaching you. So I get a bit lazy and selfish sometimes. I like just to sit here and do nothing. But there is a solution. Thank goodness for IT and smartphones. You've got a smartphone to make use of it. Download the guided meditations. And you can choose the one which you like. You know, whether it's a monk or a nun, myself, or one of the other monks and nuns or teachers. Download guided meditations from the internet. There's heaps of them. Or you can just record your own when you're here. And once it's recorded, put in your earbuds, turn it on, and you can listen to a guided meditation wherever you happen to be in this world. And you know that you can't have Ajahn Brahm in front of you 365 days a year, but you can have me in your ear holes whenever you want, thanks to IT. Just turn it on, and there it is again. So that's the best way, and I encourage that for people to begin with until you're properly brainwashed. Once you are brainwashed, then you don't need me to keep giving that instruction anymore. You are trained. Like driving a car. Imagine you try to drive a car for the first time with no one sitting in the passenger seat, just you at the wheel. You've crashed the car so many times. You need a coach beside you, the driving instructor, to tell you what to do. But after a while, you get to know how to drive, and it becomes second nature. You don't even think about what you're doing. You know just how to get the speed up, how to turn left, right, how to stop, put on the brakes without going through the windscreen. You know that because you've done it too many times. The same with meditation. It's a skill which you learn, but to begin with, you need the instructor sitting next to you. And that is just a guided meditation in your iPhone. Can you please share with us what is Nichiren Buddhism? My 16-year-old nephew is interested in it and thinks it is the fastest and best way to get enlightened. Oh my goodness, a fast way to enlightenment. Why do people want the fast way to enlightenment? You've got many lifetimes. Take the slow way. People in such a rush these days. If you take the fast way to enlightenment, you'll get fined by the Buddhist speed cops. So you're going too fast. And that, every time people has a fast way, the Eightfold Path, that is the fast way. But people always want to have a faster way. Just the well-worn path, tried and proved over 25 centuries. People always want to improve it. Do it better, do it faster. Yeah, there's some things you can improve, but you can't improve on the teachings of the Buddha. So, this is the fast way. So people who do shortcuts, yes, it's a nice marketing campaign, but if you look into it, it doesn't work. So this is the fast way. So if your son wants to find out, go and see a Nichiren teacher. Go up to him or her and say, you are an idiot, you are a fool. And see what he says. If he is worth anything, if he is or she is enlightened, you say, oh yeah, fine, no worries. But if they get angry and upset, who are you to tell me? Then you know they're not the real deal. Test them out. But not just by listening to them. Just do something. But be careful because they might hit you. Within reason. See if you can find out when they get angry, upset. My sister has body image issues. Same as me. Some people say I'm fat, but it's absolutely not true. I found out what I have. It's a medical condition. It's a medical, not my fault. The medical condition, I read it in the encyclopedia, it was in the dictionary, big dictionary. It's called anorexia. You look in the dictionary, the definition of anorexia, you look in the mirror and you think you're fat. That's me. That describes it perfectly. Every time I look in the mirror, I think I'm fat. That's what it says, that's the definition of anorexia. So this is anorexia, okay? It's only a joke. Body image issues that happen because she overeats, which causes depression. Do I overeat? It doesn't cause me depression. Am I depressed? No, I'm really depressed. I'm the most depressed. Right, careful, look at me. I really look depressed. One day for a joke, I told my mates, I feel very depressed today. They never took it seriously. I wonder why. Anyway, it was causing depression in her work life and family life. Through hypnotic regression, she found out she died hungry in her past life. Oh, that may be me as well. I'm just gathering as many excuses as I can. She isn't interested in Buddhism or meditation. We tried kindness, but it makes it worse. What can we do to help her? It's not her fault. Why do people blame? Tell her the story of the trees in the forest. Every tree belongs. Try not to be something she's not. Fat people rock. That wasn't forced, but I never fall over. I always say if ever I trip, I'm always safe, because if I trip, I never hit my head, I hit my belly and I bounce back up again. This is much better. So anyway, sometimes this is a problem in our society. Unless we're beautiful, the right shape, we got the right jobs, we got the right partner and the number of children, unless we fit other people's definition of successful, we all think we're losing out and we're not good enough. But that's something that causes so much suffering in this world. Everyone is good enough. You don't need to be like a supermodel. You don't need to be really thinny, young and beautiful to have your photograph taken. I've proved that. So just be who you are, instead of trying to live up to other people's expectations. During meditation, I saw a projection of myself breathing in and breathing out. My image was the object of attending for my meditation. That's okay. Is this the right way to proceed forward? That will do. It doesn't matter what's the right way and the wrong way. If that's happening right now, that's right in front of you, the most important object in the world, so just go for it. But don't try and create it and make it happen again. That happens now, marvellous. Next time something else will happen. Whatever's in front of you, the most important object in the world, be mindful of it, care for it. That's how to meditate. How significant is breathing in and important for our meditation? Breathing in and out. It's very important in your meditation, so please don't stop breathing in. every time you breathe out, make sure you breathe in afterwards. Please. That's how significant it is. Don't die! But you don't have to keep watching it all the time. Just make sure. That way you live a long life, as long as you remember to breathe in and breathe out. What was that? Maybe not tell a joke. I've got to be careful telling jokes. There's always someone who gets offended. So there's a stupid girl who went to the hairdresser's one day, and she had these earbuds in her ear. And the hairdresser said, look, in order to do your hairdressing, I have to take the earbuds out. I said, no, don't. I have to keep them in all the time. And so the hairdresser did as best she could, but look, I can't carry on unless I take the earbuds. The buds and the wires are in the way. He said, no, you must keep it in. And so the hairdresser said, that's just stupid. She took them out anyway, and the person dropped down and died. He said, I wonder what she was listening to. And she put the earbuds in her own ears, and what was going through the earbuds, the recording was, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out. Without those instructions, she forgot. Okay, that's a stupid joke. Okay, seemed to be a lot of something being placed on breathing in and out. Now you don't, it's the most natural meditation because it happens when everything else stops. If you're sitting still but your lungs are still going, which is why it happens naturally. When I meditate, feelings of grief and anger arise. I do not know the cause of these feelings, and this has gone on for a few years. What should I do? Just open the door of your heart to your grief and anger. Be kind to them. Thank you, grief. Thank you, anger, for coming in. Don't try to work out where they came from. They're here now. So just allow them to be. Accept them. Just embrace them. That is the way that they start to disappear. And that is how you dig in the dog shit under the mango tree. So, if you try and get rid of them, you feed them. If you accept them, be kind to them, make friends with your grief and anger, you soften them and they soon disappear. What do you think about other types of meditations like transcendental meditation where a silent mantra is repeated? Yeah, there was one of my monks. I actually wrote about him in the book. He had bad teeth. And instead of going to the dentist, which cost too much money, was too far away, he just went to the workshop. The monastery workshop, took out a pair of pliers and pulled out his tooth. Without any medication. Transcend dental medication. Okay, that was a stupid joke. Transcend dental medication. We actually did that. That was Amanda's. If anyone goes over there, he brought out his own teeth. But it was brilliant because I saw him. I busted him. I saw him. He was coming out of the workshop with a bloody tooth, in the claws of a pair of pliers. What have you been doing? I said, it's just too far to go to the dentist. Too much trouble. You have to make an appointment. And then you go there, the appointment's cancelled or it's delayed, you have to sit in the waiting room and just, it takes a lot of time, you have to have this injection, not morphine, it's, whatever it is they put in your teeth. And it's just a pain. So he said, well, why not, just save time. Went to the workshop and pulled out my own teeth. Easy. That's quicker, actually less painful. And that's when I asked him, how can you do that? And that's where he gave this wonderful teaching of present moment awareness. When I went to the workshop, that never hurt. When I decided to pull out my own teeth, that didn't hurt. When I picked up the pliers, that didn't work. That didn't hurt at all. Even when I put them on my tooth, that never hurt. I wriggled it, that hurt. But only for a few seconds, and then it was all over. So easy. But when people don't know how to live in the present moment, Even just telling that story to you, see, a few people already hurt you, and it wasn't even your tooth. Ooh. And you do it out of fear, anticipation. It starts hurting, and you haven't even walked to the workshop yet. Live in the present moment, it's so easy. The anticipation, oh, this is gonna hurt, this is gonna hurt. It's already started hurting. During meditation, we learn to let go and stop thinking. What should we do then? Oh, crikey. If you think, what should I do then? You started thinking and you stop letting go. During meditation, we learn to let go and stop thinking. Just carry on. Just let go and stop thinking. Then what? Then let go and stop thinking. And afterwards, then let go and stop thinking. And at the end, let go and stop thinking. What do we use to anchor on to stop thinking? Silence. Beautiful silence. When nothing moves, there's no words, no problems. We're back to nature. Thus, have you gone to the ocean? Does the ocean think? Does it plan? It just comes in, goes out, comes in, goes out. Does it all the time. Do you think it worries? I don't think so. During meditation I saw green lights unfolding like aurora I saw on YouTube. Is this from limiters? Green lights, that means go, go, go. You see red lights, that means stop something. Sorry, I think this is going to happen. There are also, twice during my meditation, suddenly a kaleidoscope of bright lights seemed to be blinding me. I was frightened by what happened in this sudden occurrence. Any advice? Don't be frightened, it's good fun. Look, people have to go, to the southern hemisphere or northern hemisphere to see those auroras, and you just sit here in Phuket, it just happens straight away. So much more efficient. Kaleidoscopes. Wow, people have to go to light shows and pay all this money, get it for free. So when these things happen, enjoy it. Sit there, oh, this is really weird. Good, oh yeah, come on. I'll get into this. It's much better than falling asleep and getting bored trying to watch my breath. Have a kaleidoscope show, a light show. Wow, brilliant. So when it happens, just go with the flow, let go, see what happens, enjoy it. Don't be afraid of pity soup, but you never go blind. How do you know whether you're in which stages of the jhana? Similarly, how do you know when you've achieved the different stages of sainthood? E.g., how does an arahat know he or she is an arahat? When you don't need to ask questions like that anymore. Then you realise you know. I saw lights and colours during my meditation at the same time. I began to feel heat and start sweating. My heartbeat get faster. I immediately stop. Oh, why did you stop? Why? What should I do? Carry on. Don't stop. Things are happening. You get lights. You get heartbeat. Well, heartbeat gets faster. Take your attention away from the heartbeat because that's just excitement. That's all. Just go back to the lights. Let the heart do what it wants to do. Usually it's been pretty dependable so far in your life. Just excitement, that's all. So just go back to the lights. Even just the heat in the body, just go straight to the lights and forget about your body. Basically, just carry on, don't get excited. I was taught to get rid of attachment by contemplating on anicca and dukkha. How to contemplate on anicca and dukkha? Anicca does not mean rise and fall. That's just so easy. You can go to the beach and just watch the waves rise and fall, rise and fall. Anyone can do that. That's not going to give you insight. Real insight is when you watch the waves rise and fall, and then the whole ocean disappears. That is not supposed to happen. The ocean, where's it gone? That is what anicca means. Something which has always been there, constant, is now disappeared. Things which you never realised because they were always there. This was actually going to be part of the talk today, our insight. It was a good sort of way to bring it in now. This old story of the tadpole and the frog. one of my favourite similes. A tadpole can't understand what water is. No more than a frog, no more than a fish can understand what water is. How can a fish understand water? Born in water, grew up in water, lived all his life in water. Same with a tadpole, always in water. But one day, tadpole grows into a frog. When the tadpole is now a frog, and she jumps out of the lake for the first time, that's a very different experience than anything she's known before. Weird and strange. I imagine some tadpoles, now frogs, jumping out for the first time, can feel excited and afraid, and jump straight back in again. Just like people who get into Nimittas or jhana for the first time, they can't stand it, they go back again. It's totally different than what you've expected, what you've ever seen before, especially the jhanas. But after a while, the frog stands on that dry land and realises it's strange and it's weird because something which was always there ever since it was born is now missing. Water. It's gone. That's anicca. Something which was always there, which you couldn't see, you didn't notice, has now disappeared. Now you can find out what water is. Your body? How can you know what your body is? You were born with a body. Lived all your life with a body, unless you've had an out-of-the-body experience. You know, people who have out-of-the-body experiences, they have much better understanding of what a body is, so they're not afraid of death. They never their grief is mostly gone, because why are you grieving? This body is heavy, it's painful, it's irritating. This body sucks. Having a body. That is why that wonderful, I should have downloaded it, kept it, distributed it. It's actually BBC, probably be illegal. But there was a lady, had out-of-body experience, died on some operating table. She was really sick all her life. And once she was out of her body, yay, she had such a wonderful time. And she went to see this spirit came to see her and said, I'm sorry, you're not supposed to die, you have to go back. This was an English woman. She said, I am not going back, but you have to. No way. But you must. I am not going back, said this woman on the spirit plane. I had this big argument in the spirit plane. According to whatever, she had to go back, but she refused. And in the end, the argument was resolved. This is how she described it on the BBC interview. By this spirit somehow getting hold of her and throwing her back into the body on the operating table. And at that point in the interview, she screwed up her face. I've never seen a woman so angry. She said, now, when I die, next time, when I really die, the first thing I'm going to do is find that spirit, and you wouldn't believe what I'm going to do to him. I'm going to beat him up, kill him, whatever. What he did to me is unforgivable. Sending me back into this body to have to endure it again and again and again for a few more years. I will never forgive that guy for what he did. So it was amusing, but at the same time informative, compared to what you experience after you die. Right now, this is really heavy, this is suffering. But we're used to it. So used to it that we don't really know how much heaviness and irritation this body actually is. We try to make the best of it. But when you die, you have a wonderful release. Free. No aches, no pains. That's the same in the jhanas. Oh, free of your body. You're a bird now, you fly. Not heavy anymore, no aches, no pains. So that's one of the reasons why you can experience what suffering really is. And it's always around, you don't really notice it. Dear Ajahn, I often have the best meditation after a crisis, when I am tired of putting up a fight, tired of figuring things out, my mind wants to rest and is happy staying with the breath. You need to have more crises. Maybe I'm going to send you to Syria or Baghdad so you can get some good meditation. No. Usually letting go is difficult. My mind doesn't seem to go there. Intellectually I understand, but my heart doesn't seem to move. How can I create this attitude without having to go through a crisis? Yeah, best way of avoiding a crisis is preventative measures. Don't wait for it to happen. Prevent it before it happens. So in other words, it's just a motivation. What you can do is that other mantra, instead of Om Mani Padme Hum or shut up, is another 4-word mantra, which is great to do. And that is, I will die, that's for sure. That's 5 words. So that's what many people do when they do walking meditation. The left leg moves, I will die. The right leg, that's for sure. I will die, that's for sure. I will die, that's for sure. It's even better in Indonesian, Bahasa. Mati pasti. Mati pasti. Mati pasti. It's almost like rhymes, it's really good. In Thai it's die, yeah. Die, yeah. That means for sure. I don't know what it is in Chinese and Cantonese, but they can tell me afterwards. But anyway, I will die, that's for sure, is good enough. It's brilliant because that is okay, it's not so much a crisis, but you know it's going to happen. So what on earth are you worried about the stock market for? Oh, about Mr. Trump, you're going to die anyway. I will die, that's for sure. So you can really let go and be peaceful. It changes all of your priorities. That's how it works. Okay, that's actually all the questions are finished. Yay! So some of you are leaving today and this afternoon, but how many will be here this evening? Wow, a lot of you. I can't get rid of you. Glutton's the punishment. Okay, never mind. So you can put some more in this evening if you want to. But anyway, for the insight, how it comes up is because you're still, you see these things. Yeah, maybe I might tell you these things, but they're just like seeds, and after a while you experience them and you understand what's going on in this meditation. You understand this is the fastest way. Try to make it go even faster. That makes it slower. You never get there. So just one moment at a time. Be patient. And you'll be surprised just how these things happen to you. When it first happens, you see limiters and you understand this is a limiter. Wow, me, I can get a limiter. Yes. It's only because people have a very low self-esteem. Even though many of you are high achievers, underneath all of that you think, well, no, not me. But you can. And this is just keep on going, it gets better and better, happier and happier. Deeper and deeper. And you experience that. It gives you a lot of confidence that it works. So, 12 minutes past 10. So now is the time for tea break, toilet break. You see this whole body, you put something in one side and one end, it comes out the other end. It's total just flushing through your system. So it'd be great if you can just drink once in your life and have it all over and done with. Or get like dry pills, you just put it in and just, the body's just immense like water throughout the day. Instead of having to always drink stuff. Or just have some food where you just food, just nutrients, so nothing comes out the end, so you don't have to keep going to the toilet. Now after all these years of technology, why is it that we still have food and most of it is just waste products and we have to come out the other end? Can't we just do things a little bit more efficiently? I don't know. Anyway, go off to the toilet anyway. See what happens. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.